on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, it has been an insane week for Bitcoin. We had Bitcoin opening up at around $37,000, pumping all the way up to $45,000, almost to completely erase virtually all of those gains by the end of the week. And you can see that we did, in fact, close a green candle, but there was a huge, massive amount of selling pressure at those levels, showing that maybe some of these investors were just waiting for that pump to get out of Bitcoin, right? Now, I'm not trying to make this a doom and gloom type video. That is not my intentions, but I do want to just talk a little more realistically. Are we potentially being too optimistic about the Bitcoin price, right? We're Bitcoiners, we're in crypto, we see the potential, but does the rest of the world see the potential? You know, during all the conflicts that's going on right now globally, what are we seeing today? We're actually seeing stocks falling even lower out of this support range over on the S&P during a time that we are seeing gold pumping, and on top of that, we are seeing the dollar break through all of our previous resistances right here, showing that the dollar is strengthening. So usually, you know, when you look at the dollar and you see the DXY pumping, it usually has an inverse relation to Bitcoin, and that's kind of what we're seeing. And not only that, but could we potentially still be in those early stages? There's so many people that still don't quite understand Bitcoin. I just want to show you something real quick. This actually was in a local newspaper right here, and it says members of the Seneca Lake Guardian gather before a rally at the DEC Region 8 office in Avon, urging the organization to reject Greenidge's Title V permit renewal. Now, what Greenidge was looking to do essentially is these guys were looking to mine Bitcoin, but people here are saying Bitcoin is an illusion, Earth is our treasure, proof of work is a destructive force. So there are people out here right now in New York that are actually against Bitcoin mining. They don't really understand it. They think it's a threat, you know, to the, first of all, it uses too much electricity, right? So I'm just showing you all these different examples to kind of let you know that we are still in that region where Bitcoin is not quite acting as the, safe haven, as the risk off asset that we believe it should be. So in today's video, that's what we're going to talk about. Does there have to be more pain before Bitcoin can actually go higher, or are we actually going to find support at some of these key technical levels? There is a lot happening in the world right now. Some are calling this a black swan event, even though we kind of anticipated it. We have a lot of things coming up. We have the FOMC meeting again. Are they going to raise rates? Could that hurt stocks and crypto even more? That's what I want to focus on today, guys. And also we'll look at some short-term price action as well. And for my friends out there who are degens and you like to get in on these opportunities at super risky times, well, I do have something at the end of the video, so stick around if you are interested. But with that being said, if you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And without further ado, let's hop in and have a look at the Bitcoin chart. Now, you can see right here, as I did say, Bitcoin did in fact, well, one thing I want to point out too really quick before we get to the technicals is if we have a look right here at this point of control, which is this red zone right here, this red line, you can actually see that there was a lot of VPVR right here. Now, you really don't want to fall below that $32,000 level because it was showing that, ever since back here around January of the previous year, last year, we had a lot of interest at this level, but yet we find ourselves back at this level again. So should this be concern, or is this just the perfect buying opportunity? Well, if you've been in crypto as long as I have, these opportunities are for buying. But if you just got in, maybe you're a little bit worried, maybe you're down on your investments. Now, right here, you can see that this does look like a very bearish candle, even though it was a green candle. If we actually look at what BTC Fuel had pointed out, he actually refers or points out that these are inverted hammer candlesticks, which often do mark the bottoms of downtrends. So, this does mean we could potentially trend upwards. But once again, this gets back to my sort of theme of the video of, are we being a little bit too optimistic as Bitcoiners, as crypto people? Because if we have a look right here, we had Brent crude oil jumping $139 a barrel. This is a 14-year high, and it's very close to the $147 high that was reached reached in 2018, which was the financial crisis. And I can tell you right now, locally, I am seeing gas prices in my town as high as $5 per gallon. That is ridiculous. That's almost double what we were seeing just a few years back. And I know it's definitely hurting a lot of people out there, that it's definitely, nobody likes paying high gas prices. We're also seeing Europe's stock 600 and Asia Dow dropping more than 3%, S&P 1.4% lower. In India, the rupee lost 1.1% to trade at a record 76.98 per dollar. Germany's benchmark DAX index lost 4% on Monday, entering the dreaded bear market territory, right? So in traditional assets, when you fall below or you fall 20%, that's usually considered a bear market. So if you want to go just based on the traditional markets, then technically Bitcoin is already in a bear market, right? Because, if we just go here, essentially, and this is just saying if we just go by the 20% rule, Bitcoin is sitting down about 42%. So this is almost double the necessity percentage to enter a bear market. Now, personally, what I think we've been seeing is a massive accumulation trend, okay? I think we've been in this accumulation band for a year, and ultimately, once these levels that we're seeing right here are broken, I'm not going to say I guarantee it, but I almost want to say that I guarantee we're never going to see these prices go low, go this low ever again. But could they go lower in the short term? Well, having a look right here, we once again find ourselves on this very critical support for Bitcoin. Now, as I spoke to you in my previous video, I did point out that Bitcoin is in fact forming this bit of, now, depending on how you look at that, if you take these trends right here, okay, because we're taking this from this level right here, and we connect those lines, and that is where we had the perfect capitulation wick as well. Well, then if we take that level, it does look more like Bitcoin is putting in an ascending wedge, which is technically a bearish pattern, right? However, we have had a few touches above it. So this is a little bit sort of subjective. Let me know what you guys think about it, in the comments. Maybe you have some TA as well. Maybe you have an opinion on it. I can't really formulate 100% opinion just yet, because we also could say that taking these 2 points, that it's also looking a bit like an ascending triangle, which would in fact be bullish. So it's almost like the correct stance to take at this point is neutral. And I hate saying, well, I have no idea what's going to happen. I know people come to this channel, they want to know, is Bitcoin going up? Is Bitcoin going down? Long-term, Bitcoin's going up. Short-term, we are in a bit of a neutral scenario right now. We need to either see if we're going to break above this $46,000 level here and hold it, or if we end up breaking back down towards that $34,000 level. Now, that $34,000 level is a bit of the last resort for the bulls, because if we come down to this level again, after accumulating at these levels for over a year, and then Bitcoin breaks through that, well, things could get quite tricky. Now, there is some positives to it, like Trader J pointed out. Histogram is showing clear bullish divergence, and you can see right here, every time we have these two waves, you can even refer to them as the anchor wave and the trigger wave. I've heard some people use that terminology. That usually confirms that we could be going into a move to the upside. However, in each one of these moves, really to confirm it, you really want to see us get back into the green. And if I zoom in right here, you can see we haven't actually entered back into the green just yet. So while this does look very good so far, we haven't actually had confirmation on that bullish move just yet. Now, I've been looking at this area for quite some time. I do believe that we are most likely going to continue to consolidate in this area. We have had a few breaks below it, so it's not impossible on this weekly or 3-day chart to see Bitcoin come down below that level. You really don't want to lose it and close below it. So as of right now, we've never actually closed below this support, this spider line, right? We came down, we touched it, we came down, we closed right there. We fell below it right here, January 22nd. We fell below it here, February 24th. But in all of these instances, we were able to close above it. So if we continue even to trade lower, but we continue to keep closing higher than this trend line, then I can't really become full on bearish until we break those levels just yet. On the flip side, it's kind of hard to become bullish when you've also been held down by the resistance. So as I said, we need to break out. We need to either break out a clear direction out of this trend to the upside or to the downside to really determine what could be the forecast for Bitcoin moving forward. And like I said, I do hate saying things are looking neutral right now. I know that's not what people want to hear. People want to know, is it going up or is it going down? Long term, it's going up. Short term, there is a lot of things to consider. I mean, like Will Clemente pointed out, this is just something to just kind of take with a grain of salt here, but stocks gap down, oil up, credit spreads widening, Putin starting a war, and we've got both the CPI print and FOMC meeting this week. Honestly impressed, Bitcoin is still trading above 38,000 right now. So really, when you kind of look at it from that perspective, considering, all of the FUD and everything that's happening right now, we have stocks falling, we have the dollar strengthening, we have gold pumping, Bitcoin not really doing anything. Maybe this does signal that there is some strength, right? Maybe there is some strength. But I do want to point out something that Alessio Rustani had mentioned on his channel. Now, he was talking with prominent trader Charlie Burton, and he was asking him his opinion on the Bitcoin price, what he thinks. Does he think it's more likely that we see 20K before we see 100K? And even though he is very optimistic and he is looking to get into Bitcoin, he did make a very interesting point. And I am curious what you guys think about that. So hopefully with Alessio's permission, and definitely check out his channel. Awesome analysis. I love Alessio Rustani. Check his channel out. But I do want you guys to watch this quick segment and let me know if you actually agree with what Charlie is saying regarding the market sentiment.
From a sentiment perspective, when I look at Bitcoin, I still have friends who are asking me, should I buy Bitcoin? And these are lay people. They're not investors. They're not traders. They're just normal Joes and Joesses and whatever else who are just still thinking that they should I get involved in Bitcoin or all these other cryptocurrencies? And that's absolutely fine. But for me, that it still suggests that there's a lot of the general public out there who are not active investors or traders who are still looking at getting involved or are dipping their toe in the water. And I would still like to see those general masses flushed out a little bit more first. So coming back to your first question, what would I rather see this year? Personally, I would rather see, I don't have a bias towards Bitcoin. I would rather see it come lower rather than go to 100,000, because I would rather see that market flush out those people so that when those friends of mine are saying, oh, not interested in cryptocurrencies, Charlie, what a load of rubbish. That's what I want to hear. Because when I start hearing that, I'm in. And so,
interesting.
But I'm not hearing.
No, I agree.
When it comes to sentiment. So when I start hearing that, then I'll be saying, I'm getting some really good buying signals right now because no one wants to invest, or sort of thing. The layman doesn't want to. So
just to simplify that down, what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you're saying that if Bitcoin manages to, let's say, break support, and I think you mentioned 30K, for example, break that lower trend line on your chart. Let's say it breaks that trend line, lower supporting trend line, and break below 30K. You're saying that could create a situation where everybody just panics. The majority of people potentially become very fearful, they panic, and it could create a situation where they could just flush them out. Potentially, you'd be expecting Bitcoin to drop below 30K. Where to, potentially, do you think?
I'm not really in the business of giving too many predictions on price and stuff like that, but let's have a quick look at the monthlies.
And I should just be clear, Charlie. You're saying if that support gets broken, you're not saying it's going to break. You're saying you prefer that. You prefer that if it happens.
From a sentiment perspective, I think it would do a nice job of flushing out a lot of the general public. But and I'm not talking about active investors because they know what they're doing. They're going to carry on trading and investing anyway. So that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we've got these old highs from 2018, which, funny enough, comes in at around about 20,000. And so technically, if we were to come down and breach 30, the next technical level on my chart would be this high here. So price is broken out through that high back in 2021 or end of 2020, and we haven't come back down to retest. We know that technically markets like to break out and they like to retest levels. So we'll have to see. But yeah, if we broke 30,000, then I definitely could see 20,000 as being, or the area around 20,000, maybe it goes to 21 or 22, but down in that zone for a retest of those old heights. So yeah, technically that would be what I'd see. And if we came down to that zone, then I would happily be looking to buy down in that zone.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that there hasn't been enough pain? I mean, some people that got into crypto, this year might say, oh, it's very painful. I'm down 50%. But keep in mind, guys, I've been around for over 6 years and I have seen multiple drawdowns of 90%, 84%, two of just 50% in the past year. So could things get worse? Do people really need to lose that interest? For example, right here, we still have people protesting, about Bitcoin mining. They don't realize the benefits that Bitcoin mining could actually bring to the economy, but yet they're still looking at it from that sort of ESG perspective of, it uses too much energy, even though we know a lot of it has moved into renewable. I mean, we've talked about this time and time, but could it just be that Bitcoin is working towards becoming that risk-off asset, but we're not quite there yet? Please let me know what you guys think about that below in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions on this. We are a community. This is a time for discussion. You know, it's not just about watching me. I want to hear what you guys have to say too. How long have you been in the space? Are you freaked out by this? Do you agree with Charlie? Do you think we're going to go lower and, you know, potentially hit that $20,000 level? I'm not 100% too sure about 20K. He makes an interesting point, you know, about hitting that previous 20K high, using it as support. Possible, but keep in mind that when we look at the historical 4-year Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin doesn't usually come down actually and retest the previous all-time highs. So it's something that Bitcoin specifically doesn't necessarily do. But as Bitcoin does get more adoption from these institutions, is it just becoming more of a traditional asset? That is the question. Like Decode Jar pointed out, and he's looking at this wave pattern. He says this is a bullish count for Bitcoin. Sideways chop doesn't look like it's part of wave 5. So with those counts invalidated, this is how I think it could be tied back to wave 4. This pattern is more or less complete with invalidation below 34,326. And we have pointed this level out multiple times. In fact, we also have Nijin Tropic pointing out that the RSI is oversold and trending up. If price fails to break above 40, we go down to support. And once again, that support being around that $34,000 to $36,000 level, right? Because what we're looking at essentially is, well, I'll show you this chart in just a second, but what we're looking at essentially is this support, but it has been putting in higher lows, right? So you don't really want to put in a lower low. You can come back down here to the 29K level. I have ruled that out as an extremely bearish scenario where then we put in something like we saw happen with the S&P and the Dow Jones, where we put in this giant M-shaped pattern, which in turn causes it to form a giant double bottom. That has actually been one of our scenarios that we've been saying for months on this channel. So I'm not going to say that that isn't a possibility. But the interesting thing right here is that if you go over to Bitfinex, you are noticing that they are starting to long. So, you know, why are these Bitfinex whales longing? Do they know something we don't know? Are they trying to trick us? Now, this hasn't been always the greatest indicator to know whether or not, you know, we are going up, but I just do want to point out that they have started going long. So maybe they know something we don't, maybe we don't. Take that with a grain of salt. But you know, if we look over here, Kraken, which I'm not even sure how I feel about an exchange, you know, putting out data like this. It seems kind of weird, like they're the place where you trade. But they pointed out that Ethereum net flows on exchanges have actually showed a significant increase, which means that people have been sending Ethereum to the exchanges, right? Now, we had been seeing exchanges hitting a level of lows that we had not seen for months ago. And this was essentially telling us that people were taking Bitcoin off the exchanges. They were putting it into their wallets. But what we're seeing right here is Ethereum going on exchanges. So Ethereum sort of being the king of the altcoins, if you want to call it that doesn't mean that people are sort of you know, maybe they're more into Bitcoin right now, but could they be getting a little worried with some of these altcoins? Now, if you were looking to accumulate altcoins, you would say to yourself, well, this is probably an excellent time to get into it, right? But they are warning that with these inflows, it does suggest right here that sell side demand may be outpacing buy side demand. And some of these guys, especially if these global economic, political situations that are happening in the world do continue to get worse, they may get out of the speculative vehicles, being Bitcoin as one of them, but Bitcoin being looked at as the safest. It could be even worse for the altcoins, right? So I just kind of wanted to point that out, guys, just to let you know everything that's going on right now. But interestingly enough, if you do want to talk about Bitcoin specifically, and this might be a little bit of beacon of hope for you, a little bit of hopium, but according to the Glassnode chart right here, institutional investors are returning to accumulate Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares at the discount to spot price, which has risen nearly 30%. So they're taking advantage of this right now. In fact, since December of last year, some weekly sessions saw investors pouring in between 10 million and 120 million into Grayscale's flagship fund. Meanwhile, the biggest capital inflow amounting to nearly 140 million, appeared the week ending February 25th. So that was literally just before we saw that massive pump, even though a lot of it got erased, right? And the other thing to point out is that they say that there's no sell-off yet among high-profile GBTC backers. So they give two examples, one of them being Cathie Wood's ARK Next Generation ETF, which holds $478 million worth of GBTC. Well, they added over 450,000 GBTC shares to their profile when the discount was even just around 17.5%. Currently, it's sitting even lower than that. And we also have Morgan Stanley Insight Fund holding over 1.5 million GBTC as of September 30th. Neither ARK or Morgan Stanley Insight Fund have sold any of their Bitcoin GBTC shares. So it's not the big guys, it's not these guys that look like they're selling. It could just be, you know, speculative investors, maybe some of these guys that just got in on Wall Street, they wanted to get in, or even just the average retail, right? But then again, as we saw Charlie in the video, he says that institutional interest or retail interest is still there. So really what we're seeing, I mean, if you want to be totally honest right now, we are getting a lot of confusing data right now, which is why I ultimately just, you know, am curious what you guys are thinking about the Bitcoin price. As I said, as long as we do continue to put in these higher lows, we are putting in higher highs. And, you know, worst case scenario for me, you know, some people are saying, oh, if we fall below 34K. Now, the only reason that they're saying that is because you could see this level right here of very critical support resistance. But personally, I think it gets bad if we go below 29,400, right? And I'm not talking about a quick wick. I'm talking about a close because, like I said, we could still put in this giant M shape and we could build that floor right here. We've seen it before. It's scary when you're going through it, but it's something that happens in markets. We've seen it happen in multiple traditional stocks. Why would it not be something we could see for Bitcoin? But as I said, there are a lot of geopolitical situations to consider. Now, that being said, if you've made it to the end of this video, for my degens out there, for people that are still looking for opportunities, one project that I do want to just put on your radar super quick is the Cryptoverse. Now, it's literally called Cryptoverse. This is over at cryptoverse.vip. Now, this is not a project where, you know, you can invest tokens. It's not a token sale. It's nothing like that. The reason I'm bringing it up to you guys is because, let's be honest, NFTs, we've seen a drop off in interest recently. Metaverse, we've seen a drop off in interest lately. So why would I be bringing this up? Well, often, same thing with Bitcoin, when a lot of people aren't paying attention to it, when they're, you know, concerned with other things, with price action, this could be the opportunities that you're looking for. And these guys right here, they are looking to build a 3D virtual metaverse. Now, as you guys know on the channel, we were actually, I might even say either the first channel or one of the first channels to ever cover the sandbox. And we know how much that, you know, how well that did. That basically led the whole sort of metaverse rally, right? Well, I'm bringing this to you because these guys are really trying to take it a step further. You know, it's supposed to be a full-on 3D augmented reality. And if you have a look over here, you know, the thing that I like about it is, number one, you got the Chain Guardians guys, which are backing this. So they have experience in the space already. They're looking to do multi-chain and cross-chain reality. So this is going to be good. You guys know I'm a fan of interoperability. Obviously, they'll, you know, have things like marketplaces, assets in world. You guys can, you know, come over here. They have a prana system, which is like a karmic reputational system, which rewards users. And, you know, if you are interested in it, they are going to be using the CGGG token. But like I said, it's not a token sale. You don't need to run out and buy it or anything like that. The reason that I'm just bringing it up to you is because they are doing a land sale. Now, whether or not you actually believe in the metaverse, if you think it's going to be real, if you think it's not going to be real, that's not really the point I'm trying to make. I mean, metaverse to me, you know, it's a little weird, right? Spending your whole day with goggles on and just walking around. I like the real world, but I do believe that it is a possibility. I've seen it happen. I've seen the way kids get into World of Warcraft or even just Minecraft or, you know, any of these other games that you guys can think of. So they will have multiple zones right here. They have the hub. They have high culture. What else do they have? Entertainment, education, the underworld, which was kind of interesting to me, actually. They are having, so it's going to have a safe for work and a not safe for work as well. And if you just come over here and have a look at the deck that they have, this is right on the website. You can get a lot more information. I do obviously suggest you guys do your own homework before, you know, obviously don't invest in anything just because I'm talking about it, but it could be a very good opportunity. You know, Reflex Arc are software development companies based in the UK who specialize in creating engaging and immersive virtual reality. You can see BBC, Marvel, Adidas, and, you know, if you come down and have a look at their team, where is it in this chart right here? they have some people, that were involved in DC, Marvel, Disney, Microsoft. They're using the Unreal Engine 5, which is apparently going to be like super realistic graphics and things like that. They're collaborating with some world-renowned urban city planners. And yeah, guys, it could be just definitely something interesting. So have a look at that if you are interested. Like I said, it is definitely not the greatest time right now in crypto. Oh, here's the map right here. So these are the different places that you can buy land in. So I'm just thinking on this sale, who knows what happens. You guys know I'm not huge into trading NFTs or buying stuff like this, but this is definitely something I'm considering. I was with I was interested in Sandbox. I did hold the token for quite some time, but I never actually bought any land. So I am, just full transparency, not trying to although I don't really know what it would pump my piece of land if I bought it. I don't know. But ultimately, I am considering. So if you guys are looking for an opportunity to get into the metaverse, Cryptoverse, backed by CGG and a lot of these bigger players, could be something interesting. Obviously, guys, this isn't sponsored or anything like that. It's just something I'm personally interested in. And I wanted to share this opportunity with you, even though it is a bit of rough time now for crypto. So that being said, getting back to the charts, aside from all that, that's just a play if you guys are interested in getting involved in. But ultimately, for just my Bitcoiners out there, dollar cost averaging has been the way to go. But you can see right here that, we have still maintained this upwards trend. So until this trend is broken, I'm not going to get bearish. Once we break it, if we close below it, specifically if we go down to 29,000 and close below that, then we're probably going to go into a bit of a bear trend for a little bit. But right now, still not time to get, bearish. I mean, down here, a lot of people were bearish. A lot of people thought that was it. It was over. We were going to fall down to 20,000, and look what we did. We didn't do that. We bounced all the way up to 69,000. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Let me know what you think about what Charlie had to say. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And obviously, if you are looking to trade these, be very safe. It is very risky times right now, but if you want to learn how to trade responsibly and profitably, check out these links that are popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.